Should I be muted for that?
Yeah, if you want to play along, you should mute yourself. Otherwise, we just get all sorts of lovely feedback noises. All right, so let me pull up the chords for this one. So these are the chords for Skyboat Song. So this is the lovely waltz. Oh, good, we've got Nadine's here. Oh, good, I'm excited to meet her. She and I have been chatting, but I haven't met her yet. All right, here we go. So this is the Skyboat Song. Let me see if Nadine's in there. There we go. Hi, Nadine. I'm so glad you could make it. I'm about to play the chords for the Skyboat Song, which is the nice little easy warm-up waltz that we did like 3 or 4 classes ago. So we're just gonna play the Skyboat Song. I'm gonna show Jenna how to back up a waltz. So the basic rhythm is gonna be bass, chuck, chuck. And if you actually have a bass player, you don't have to play the bass. But since we're all alone, it's probably good for you to play the bass. So let's see, let me pull up the chords so I don't do the wrong chords. So here's what it'll sound like. I'll just play through it once. And if you want to play Skyboat Song to warm up with me, here's a good chance. Here we go. I'm going to put on a metronome. Not yet. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, something like this. G, E minor, D, D, G, E minor, D. Next line, E minor. I'm gonna do low string, A minor, E minor. Repeat. A minor now. Beginning. Da, 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 da. One more time. Beginning is da 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 da. We like to do the first part one more time. So something like that. Cool? Any guitar related questions, or did that pretty much work for you?
If I'm going to try to do the bass downbeat for A minor, would that be the top E string?
You could do that, and you're not wrong, because there's an E in it, but then technically you should do the A string, which is string 5, because it's an A chord. Yeah, and then for the D, do the D string, and that should work pretty well. You could, if you hit the low E for the A minor chord, it's not going to sound bad. And honestly, same for the D, but it'll sound clearer if you do the bottom note of the chord, the root.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So let's do a little warm up here. I have some warm ups planned for us. That was a nice little musical warm up there. And now, Jenny, you can totally do these on the guitar as well, but I'm going to just switch to my violin because we've got more violin players here. All righty. So welcome, everybody. I'm super glad you could be here. I think we'll have a couple more people joining us eventually, but I'm really glad got some new people here today. So I'll get started. So my name is Mikela. We've got a couple people I've never met before, so welcome. It's a couple people who've been here before. Welcome back. Today, oh good, we've got Lionel again. Sweet. So today I'm going to teach a new reel, but I'm also going to review the same one from last time. We just warmed up with a little bit of the waltz from a few weeks ago, but I'm not going to really teach that one again. Lionel, I'm glad you're here. Welcome back. All righty.
I'm trying to use my iPad, but I can't get the volume.
Can't get any volume? Okay. Let me know if you need any troubleshooting.
Well, I'm using my phone right now.
Oh, you are, and so it's working all right. Yeah, but no, it's like hard to see on that tiny phone.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, good, we've got Roger here as well. Roger's new. So I'll wait just one more minute for their stuff to connect, and then I'll get started. And let's start with the metronome. What's up? Go ahead.
Can you see me on the iPad with my phone?
Oh, do I have two of you? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I do. I can see you on the iPad and I can hear you on the phone. So.
Okay.
There we go. Does that work all right? Oh, sweet. Is this Carol, I think, not Roger.
Hi, Carol. Yeah.
There we go. It's Carol. Hi, Carol. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Carol, where are you from?
North of Seattle, Washington.
Oh, wonderful. Have you been to the Fiddle Tune Festival? I'm in Oregon right now.
Years ago.
Years ago? Cool. That's where a lot of these tunes I'm going to teach today, I learned from a teacher I met there, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask Nadine. Nadine, sorry to interrupt your dinner there, but I was wondering where you're from and if you could tell us just a little bit about yourself. And I'd love to just get to know some of the new people. Actually,
I live in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada.
Canada, sweet. Oh, that's so awesome. And Nadine, what's your background in music playing?
Yeah, I mostly do like old time stuff, but I want to kind of learn more like Irish stuff.
Perfect. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you've had that experience and we can draw on some of that. So much of it's really similar, so I'm excited to share this. Let me say this one more time for everybody. If you need the sheet music, I did put it in the chat, but sometimes it goes away, so let me just do it one more time. If you're a sheet music person, I put it there. And let's see. William already told us he's from Texas. I'm really excited he's here. Got Nadine from Canada, so there we go. Got two countries. And Carol, you said you're in Washington, and what's your background? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I played a lot in the 70s, 80s, and then I didn't play a lot for the last 20 years or so.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But you're back to it.
Yeah, just starting to get back. People like you are inspiring me.
I'm so glad. Well, I'm really glad you had time to join us today, and I hope you can get something out of our little class here.
Thank you.
And let's see, Whitney is from Forest Grove. Whitney's a flute player. I'm really excited she's here. Jen is also from Forest Grove. So we've got our little Forest Grove music crew here, and sometimes we've got my middle schoolers that join us, but none of them are here today. So I'm a middle school orchestra teacher, and I love playing fiddle music. I also grew up on old-timey tunes. So Nadine, you and I are right there together. And then I also recently have gotten into the Irish stuff, and it's a little more complicated in terms of bow patterning, but it's really, really beautiful, and I just love the way it connects. Lionel, I kind of forget. Lionel, can you tell us where you're from again? I forgot.
Just do this one for a minute and give me this, and we'll get you back on this. Just let me have it for a minute. Get out of there. Just turn it off, and I'll go to settings. Just use your phone for a few minutes.
Sweet. We'll give him a minute to get settled. All right, I'm going to turn the metronome on for us because the metronome is our very most honest friend, so we can warm up with good beat. And then we'll check in with Lionel in a minute. All right, here we go, friends. So if you don't mind, if everyone can mute, make sure you're muted. And there we go. We'll be able to get started. So I'm going to start us off at 63 beats per minute, just because my metronome doesn't go to 62. I've heard 62 is one of the best tempos to warm up, but we're going to do 63. Don't tell. There we go. All right, so we're just gonna start off with a super basic 8th note rhythm. Jenna, you can just do this without any chords on it, though I'll show you the chords that'll work with it. And for violin players, we're gonna do, we're just gonna do our open string cycle. So if you wanna play along on the flute with me, these are the notes we're doing. We're doing G, D, A, E, and then E, A, D, G. So I put it in the chat in case you're a visual person. And then Jenna, if you do wanna do chords, we'll do G, D, A minor, and E minor in the same order that we do our open strings. So here we go. Alrighty. First things first, make sure, oh yeah, I'm glad I stopped myself. Make sure your bow is a little bit looser than you might expect. So a lot of times we have it pretty tight. You want it to just be on the loose side. You also want to make sure you've rosined up really well. So to play these Irish tunes, a lot of them are really sticky on the string. You have all sorts of like ornaments that really need you to be into the string. So I found it really important to rosin like every day. So if you haven't rosined recently, it's good to do some rosin, especially in this upper middle part of the bow. This is where we're going to be hanging out. So let me look at myself so I can make sure that I am showing you correctly. Okay, there we go. So we're basically going to be here in the bow. So it's important to have rosin. And then also go ahead and move your bow hold up a little bit. We're going to hold the bow not by the frog exactly, but up here by the grip. And then everything's basically the same. Your pinky's going to be on top here. And when you put your pinky on the bow, you don't want it to be like right on top. It's going to fall off that way. But if you notice that there's like an octagon on your bow at the end here, you're going to want to move it like one face this direction, closer to your thumb, so that your pinky's on the bow there. But we're not really going to need the pinky too much, but I just wanted to review that with people because it's really important to really have your pinky in the right spot. All right. Is that everything I meant to say here? I wrote it down. Rosin, bow tension, bow hold, and posture. All right, cool. So the other important thing is that you're sitting nice and tall, your shoulders are back and down, your neck is relaxed, all right? And I do this with my little kiddos. I say I'm ready to teach. You say you're ready to learn. It's good for us. I'll say I'm ready to teach. And we bow out of respect, and then you bow back to me, and you can say we're ready to learn. There we go. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Instruments up nice and tall. You can settle it in on your shoulder here. On your collarbone. Remember, the violin's not on the shoulder, but it's on the collarbone, okay? Head is dropped down, and you can start just holding your instrument on the body here. Do not worry about the left hand. Here we go. We're gonna be in this upper middle part of the bow, and we're just gonna do 8 eighth notes on each string. 1 and 2, and G string starts now. Nice and sticky. Again. And again, here we go now. All right, we're gonna do one more at that speed. Make sure you're really connecting to the string. That's gonna help your sound later when we're trying to do the reels. One thing that helps you connect to the string is if you lift with this left arm a little bit. So you wanna be able to lift here with the left arm and actually also push the strings into the bow as you're pushing the bow into the string. So both directions are happening here. All right, one more time at that speed, a little bit of lift in the arm, really sticky, sticky, sticky. Ready, one more time, this speed. gonna do is actually do the same speed. I remember this now. I planned all this. Here we go. After I put my earplug in because it's really loud. I want to now add a little bit of an accent. And now this is going to interest Jenna, and this is going to answer the question that you asked me before. We're going to want to now put the accent on this reel, okay? And the nice thing is about you being in the fiddle class is you actually have the same rhythm as the fiddle. So the guitar and the fiddle, they share a rhythm. And the rhythm is this: light and heavy, light and heavy, light and heavy. All right? 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So when we play our fiddle tunes, it's important that you keep the accent in the same place the whole time so it sounds like it's supposed to, like you expect it to. So now let's try that same exercise, just the open strings, and now we're gonna add an accent to it, okay? The way we add an accent on the violin is just squeezing a little bit harder between your, well, I call this the crab claw with my little kids. These 2 fingers right here are gonna squeeze a little harder, and that's just how we add the accent, okay? Otherwise, you're gonna keep that nice sticky stroke the whole time. That sticky stroke is called Detache in the classical world. So Detache is the most important bow stroke because every other bow stroke evolves from that. So you want to be able to connect to the string, really get the full power of your instrument. And now we're just going to add a little bit of an accent to it, okay? But it's the same idea. Here we go. And then on the guitar, obviously, you're just going to hit the strings a little harder to get that accent. Life is good. Here we go. So again, my bow holds here, nice and relaxed. My left arm supporting the instrument. My right arm is relaxed into the string. Upper middle of the bow, about there. 1 and 2, and same thing, G, go. Twice, here we go. And sorry, I forgot that I have a C string. And you know. Okay, so let me just, what we're gonna do now, that one's actually hard to do slow, so I'm gonna speed it up. All right, now I'm gonna move to 80 beats per minute. We're gonna practice most of this stuff today at 80. So if you're a person who really likes to know what the metronome's at, there you go. We're at 80. We're gonna try that same exercise 2 times and then we'll put it on a scale. Here we go. So just the open strings 2 more times and then we will put it on a scale. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready and G. And 1 more time. All right, actually, I wish I could lower that just a little bit. Oh, I can't, just tilt it. There we go. Yeah. All right, cool. So now we're gonna try this on a scale. And last time we did the key of D minor, but today we're gonna do the key of, it's an A minor type key, but it's actually a modal, it's a modal tune. And so it's got, basically modal tunes have just 2 chords. So this is for my guitar players out there. The 2 chords in this tune today are basically G and A minor. And then we throw in a little E minor sometimes just to shake things up. All right, and now the scale for violins is going to be A myxolydian. So the A myxolydian scale is a major scale with no, it's not going to have G sharp. So let me I'll spell the scale out in the chat if you want to read it. So it's going to be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G, okay? So there's the scale we're doing. This is the A myxolydian scale. My theory teacher, who's a fiddle player, likes to call this the Celtic major. So it is technically a major scale because you do get a major chord out of there, A, C sharp, and E. But it's got that G instead of a G sharp. So it's a really cool little scale. You can think about it as being in the key of D major, which has 2 sharps. So we just have 2 sharps, but we're going to play an A scale. So we're going to start and end on A. So the scale is going to sound like this. So what I did is I played, my fingers look like that on the A string. And then when we go to the E string, we're going to lower the 2nd finger. And we're going to get G instead of G sharp. Okay? So at any point, if you have any questions, I'm going to just go through this. And I won't explain things too deeply, just so it's a nice recording later for people to practice with. But if you do have any questions at any point, please feel free to just stop me and ask the question. But I'm just going to keep going through unless I hear from you guys. So A myxolydian scale, it's just in the key of D major. So we are going to have a low 2nd finger on the E string. Oh yay, Emma's here. It was just Emma's birthday. I'll have to play a happy birthday to her. There we go. I'm just going to wait 1 second for her to tune in and tell her about that scale. She's also a classical player, so I'm sure she'll be able to tune into it. Hi, Emma. I was just telling people about the A myxolydian scale. And so it's in the chat. Actually, it might not be in the chat for you because it likes to just delete it until. So there's the scale we're doing. And Emma, this is the scale for the piece that I gave you, that I sent you. So there it is. So you can read the letters, and we're going to do it now. Here we go. All right, so we're going to do the same rhythm, which is
What are the order for the chords?
the
Like if
order
you-
for the, for this scale, what would be the chords? This one. Ooh, good question. I know it, but I am going to have to play it. 1 second.
Yeah, it's in your hands, but not your
It
head.
is, yep. Dum. Would it be da 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 da? You could, well, like don't really know. Da 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 da. I think that would work. Yeah, that would be it. Okay, so I only know the rhythm for it. Basically, you could just stay on an A minor chord for all of this, just to not complicate things. Yeah, just stay on the A minor chord. It'll sound a little bit weird, but it'll probably be easier than me trying to make something up right now. Okay. Yeah, so A minor will work okay. It's a strange little funny scale. It's got some funny little feelings in it that are different. It's not a major scale, it's not a minor scale, it's somewhere in between, which I just love. So here we go. A myxolydian scale, aka the Celtic major, but it uses an A minor chord, so LOL. All right, here we go. The metronome is at 80 still. And we're going to do the same rhythm we did before, but we're just going to do 4 of them. So we'll do 4 notes for every pitch. Here we go. Starting on A, middle of the upper middle of the bow, same thing. Detache bow stroke, nice and into the string. Lift here. 1 and 2 and ready and A. Again. Funny little scale. I'm seeing who is my Nadine, you're a little bit too high in the bow. I would go a little lower, and you know, nothing's really ever wrong in fiddle music, right? But for this Irish style, you're gonna find it to be more comfortable. It's like right above the middle of the bow. As you start getting faster, you'll find it again, but too high in the bow or too low in the bow, and it just gets a little too hard. Let me just peek. Yeah, here we go. All right, so let's try it. Here we go. A myxolydian scale. We're gonna do 3 more. This time I do the rule of 5 with my students. So every time we get something right, it's important to then do it again. So that's really important when you're practicing. You're not practicing until you get it right. You're practicing until you can't get it wrong, right? That's kind of the goal. So I'm going to play this scale 3 more times so you can practice along. I'm going to start adding the accent on the second beat. So 1 and 2 and 3, or sorry, there's only 2 beats. 1 and 2 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. All right, here we go. There's our little metronome again. Nice and tall posture. Remember your bow holds a little bit higher up and our bows are just a little bit looser. I was telling people, I think Emma might have missed this. For the Irish style, we want our bows to be a little bit looser than they would be for classical music. And we also want them to be really rosined up.
Oh, I apologize for that. There we go.
Oh, no problem, no problem. There we go.
But now,
All right.
you don't need that.
All right, so let's try it. Nice tall posture, shoulders are relaxed and down. Instrument is on your collarbone, so your shoulder can move freely. Head is resting on the chin rest, not chomping. Support here with the arm, nice and tall, strings, so that your bow can really connect. Here we go. 1 and 2 and A and go. Again. Again. So there we go. I would recommend doing both of those exercises. They're super helpful. The first one is called the open string cycle, and we just played the rhythm on all 4 strings up and down. So that's the first practice I would recommend. I do that with all of my students, especially on online learning. That's been like the best exercise for everybody, is just that detache, trying to get your rhythm really steady and trying to really connect to the string. I would recommend doing it with a metronome at 80 or at 62. So I'll put that in here. The first one was the open string cycle. And we did 8 eighth notes, detache. Detache is that sound that's into the string. It's a French, I think, for detached. So you want to hear every note really clearly. So it's for clarity and it's for connecting to the string. So open string cycle, 8 eighth notes, detache, and then we did the A myxolydian scale with the same rhythm. And then we did 4 eighth notes for that one. And the metronome markings that I would recommend are 62, 80, and then if you're feeling brave, 102, and then finally 116 is 116 is actually performance tempo, but 116 that's a lot. So you don't, no pressure. But my teacher, that's what she told me to do. My teacher told me to do 80, 102, and 116. And then with my students, I also do 62 for younger beginner students. It's nice. That's a good medium kind of slow tempo. So those are my favorite metronome markings, because I'm a nerd and I have favorite metronome markings. So there we go. All right, then we do all of that. Okay, sweet, perfect. So let's review the Tamlyn unless there's any questions about those warm-ups. So those are my recommendations, and we'll try the Tamlyn. So this is the one that's in D minor. So both of these tunes I'm going to do today are reels. So the reels have the rhythm we've been doing. Light and heavy, and they keep that the whole time. However, the bass and the drum, they're doing heavy, light, but we don't have any bass players. Sometimes my bass player comes and hangs out with us, but she knows what's going So here we go. We'll try this Tamlyn. I'm going to play the whole thing at 80 so you can just hear the whole tune. And then I'm going to break down. We have 2 patterns we're going to look at today, 2 bowing patterns. And my teacher, Winifred, I've been taking lessons with her every Wednesday. And I think she's taught me this. Like, she has so many students that I think she's forgotten, like, what she's shown me. So she's, at every single lesson, she's taught me the same bow pattern. But I haven't stopped her because I'm like, you know what, if she's teaching this every time, it's probably really important. So I should just do it again. So I'm going to teach you. She gave me these. She's like, these are the 2 bowing patterns. And she's taught me the same 2 each time. But the one that she's really, really emphasized is this triplet that's going on. So you might have heard that before if you're listening to some Irish music. That's kind of the first like ornament that kind of caught my ear, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, how are they doing that? And how does it sound so clear? You can totally do this on the guitar as well if you're doubling it up, double, you go double speed. Yeah, and they do this on the flute as well, though the mechanics of it I could not explain. So you can listen and see if you can do it on the flute. All right, so here's the idea of that. I wanted to break that down. So that's going to be the second one we look at, is the triplets. The first one is the one we talked about in the last class, but let me review it because we've got some new people here, and I'm sure the people would not mind reviewing, the people who've seen this before. So the first pattern I actually want to talk about is slurring over the beat. So a slur is when we go the same direction of bow without changing bow directions. And then a slur for the flute is just not tonguing it, right? I'm pretty sure that's right. Jenna, this is not going to apply to the guitar, but you can still play along with me and I'll tell you where we are in the chord chart. So when we slur over the beat, the reason we're doing that is because we're setting ourselves up to hit the offbeats. So let me just review what I'm talking about in terms of the rhythm. So if we've got this, I'll draw a picture actually. I love drawing pictures. So here is the basic real rhythm, and I'll show you a couple of these really common patterns. The nice thing about Irish music is if you learn it, once you learn like a couple reels, you've got it. And all the reels use the same bow patterns, and you can just steal the bow patterns you already learned from the last tune, and they apply very broadly. So once it might seem kind of hard today, but then once you start to think about it, look at it and break it down, you'll get it in your hands, and then you'll be able to learn so many more reels and they'll feel way more comfortable. So here we go. The reel is a dance. I'm going to give you my definition here. Dance in cut time. All right. So what is cut time? We'll get to that in a second, but here you go. For those, I see some people taking notes, so I'm just going to be really educational about this and just give you a chance to look at it. So the reel is a dance in cut time. Cut time is 2 beats. And then each beat has 4 parts. Okay. So we have 2 beats, each beat has 4 parts. Okay. Another way you can think about this is in 4/4. You can think about it in 4/4 and you're not wrong, but then every beat would have 2 parts. So here's what we're counting. If we really counted it,
helpful to think about it as 2/4?
Yes, but most of the time it's written as 2/2.
Okay.
Yeah, so technically it is in 2/2. Because people like to write it in 1/8 notes. You could think about it in 2/4, but then you'd have to think about 16th notes, and 16th notes are harder to think about.
That's valid.
Yeah, so that's you're not wrong. You could totally think about it that way, but it's easier to do math with the 1/8 notes in my experience. So basically, here we've got 2/2. So cut time is two half notes. So we've got 2 half notes. Half note, half note, half note, half note. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then what we're gonna do, and we already did this in the warm-up, it's the same rhythm we did in the warm-up. We're gonna go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 E and 2 E and that. Now it's in quarter notes, sorry. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the confusing thing about that is you can really count it in a lot of different ways, but let me show you what it looks like. It seems like we've got some classical musicians here. So I'm going to show you what it would look like on paper, okay? Again, please stop me if you have any questions and just ask it, and I would love to answer your questions. So basically we've got this rhythm going on. 2 beats, each beat has 4 parts. And I like writing it in 2-2 instead of 2-4 because 16th notes are just a little more confusing. So there we've got that. And then for the guitar player and for the fiddle player, you're gonna accent the second part of each beat. So if you're thinking about it in 4, you're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But once it goes fast enough, it's really not gonna feel like it's in 4, it's gonna feel like it's in 2. So that's our rhythm there, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a. And that's pretty much the same for reels across the board. Like, I think that's the same I don't know as much about Quebecois styles, but I've listened to a lot of them and I've played some of those tunes and it seems like the accent's in the same place for pretty much every tradition. Now, here's what I want to show you. Here's the first bowing pattern, okay? And I'm going to draw it on here. Okay. What I did there is we're going to slur the 3 middle notes together, and you'll notice that that helps you frame the accent. So here is the first concept that's really important that's going to show up in every single Irish reel until the end of time because it's really, really effective. And the reason they slur across these 3 notes here is so that you can frame these accents. So the slurs help you set up the accents, okay? So as you notice, the beat is here, the beat starts there, and we're slurring over the beat. And for a lot of classical people, that like makes their brain hurt really bad because you basically never do that in classical music. Because in classical music, you're accenting the first beat, the first part of the beat. You're accenting here most of the time, you know? Da, 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 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and there's your accent is on the beginning of the beat. But in fiddle or in Irish reels, let me be really specific, the accent is on the second part of the beat. So the reason I started with Tamlyn is because it really sets that up for you in a pretty obvious way. So if you want to look at your sheet music for Tamlyn, I'm going to play it now and I'm going to pull up the music so I do it exactly how I wrote it down. Oh no, wait, I've got the first part memorized, so we'll be fine. So here we go. Here's the Tamlyn, and you'll start to hear this accent and where the accent lives, and it lives on that second part of the beat. And you'll see the slurs as well. So here we go. Just a little tiny bit of the Tamlyn, okay? What I'm going to do now, since I already taught this beginning part, please let me know if you want me to break it down a little bit more. I do want to spend most of our class on the new tune, which is tunes have names, they always leave, the Sligo Maid. So I do want to work more on the Sligo Maid, so I'm not going to be super detailed with the Tamlyn, because I think more people know it as well. So if you want me to break this down a little bit more, I can at the end. But I'm going to do the Tamlyn with sort of a medium amount of detail, and then I'm going to do the Sligo Maid with a lot of detail, okay? So the Tamlyn, I'm going to start, if you're looking at my sheet music, you might notice it starts down bow, and that's just to get you into it. So that down bow only is going to happen once. And here's the trick. This is really important. When we're slurring in these tunes, when we slur across the beat, it's always going to be up bow, okay? So, and there's only a few. There's only one place we're really going to do a down bow slur, and that's with the triplets. So I'll talk about that later. For now, the slur will always be up bow, and that is a really good piece of information because then you trust yourself. Okay, I'm slurring. I'm going up. Okay, I've got it right. The slur is always going to be a lift. Okay. The up bow is when the tip is going towards the sky, okay? So we'll do this now. I'm gonna loop the first part, and I'm gonna loop it really slow, and then I'm gonna loop it faster. I'm not gonna break the Tamlyn down again, because I think most people know the notes at least. So at this point, Jenna, you can look at the Tamlyn. We're just gonna do the A part, and I'm gonna loop it a lot of times at different speeds. So we're gonna start really slow. I'm gonna go back to 63. We're gonna do it really slow. And this will give Jenna a chance to try the chords. She says thumbs up, or they say thumbs up. Love it. Here we go. So we're gonna start slow. These chords are a little bit tricky, so good luck with the B flat major. All right, here we go. Here's the Tamlyn A section, just to give you a chance to experiment with slurring over the downbeat. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do exactly what's on that sheet music, or I'm gonna try. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and ready, and go. Sorry. Again, beginning, up bow. Slur, accent. Slur. Slur. Again. And there we go. We'll try it a little bit faster. And I'll try not to change the ending so much. There's like a million, there's so many different ways to do the tune, but I like giving out the sheet music because I did it one way that works really well so that you can practice one way that's really, really effective. And then once you feel comfortable with that, then you can start breaking the pattern once you get bored and you can do something else. But for now, I will try to do the ending that starts on the F. It starts on F. So here we go. We're going to move it to 80. We're going to try it at 80. And then I think I'm going to also bring this one up to 102, just because I know some people already know this one. I want to bring it a little faster. And then we'll talk about the triplet. Here we go. Oh, yeah. See, I was right. I was doing it like it was quarter notes. So we should stay at 63 and see if let's see what the 16th notes are like. Yeah, so I was actually, my apologies, I was doing it at half tempo before, which was probably actually helpful. But I'll do it now at actually doing it like these are half notes. So here's our half note. This is still 63, but we're gonna now put 4 notes per beat instead of 2. So this is gonna go twice as fast as what I just did, okay? Here we go. da deedle deedle daddle deedle daddle deedle daddle deedle daddle deedle daddle deedle daddle. There we go. 1 and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. So I'm gonna play one down bow to get us started, and then the rest of the time we're gonna slur over the downbeat. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, go. We just did the A part 4 times, or sorry, A part 3 times through. I did notice, Lionel, my friend, it looks like you're a little bit lower in the bow, and I used to do this a lot in the lower part of the bow as well. I think you'll find it easier to do all those string crossings up to tempo if you're like, you want to be a little bit above the middle. It's going to be like right there. Yeah. So just a little bit. A lot of these like Quebecois styles, Canadian styles, they're playing down here. And what's going to happen is you're going to fly off the string more easily. So you can get a lot of these cool bouncy things happening up down here. But the Irish style is really grounded. It's really on the string, and it's really, it doesn't come off the string very often. So you want to mostly be up here, and that's going to help you stay on the string more comfortably. So I've noticed that I did that as well. A lot of people do that, and it does make it harder. So you're going to want to be in the upper middle of the bow, and you're going to want to use like 2 or 3 inches of bow at most. Okay, that's the style that I got from Winifred. Okay, so let's kind of leave the Tamlyn for a second, and I want to talk about triplets. I want to talk about bow triplets. Okay, so that's that one. It was to show you slurring over the downbeat. So hopefully that sort of worked. Now I want to talk about these bow triplets, and we can try a little bit of the Sligo Maid, which I'm so excited about this tune. It's like my favorite thing right now is to play this tune. So again, this is another reel, so it's got the same, totally the same pattern going on. If you are wanting to look at the sheet music, you can pull it up. I'm actually going to start in the B section with the triplet, and you might notice that in the Tamlyn, it's got the same triplets going on in that. Oh, except I wrote them differently. Ooh, I messed up, but that's okay. I'll explain it in a second. So we're going to start with the triplet that's in the B part, and you'll notice that it is actually written as a triplet here. I wasn't totally sure before, and I wrote it as 16th notes in the Tamlyn, and I wrote it as a triplet here, so blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it's a triplet. It's going to sound like this. 3 notes, and we're going to start with the note G. And do they do that on the guitar? They do, and it's just like a double time thing. Double up, double down, down, double down, down, double down, down. I think it does that. Double down, down, double down, down. That's how I've gotten it to work on guitar. Good luck with that. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but that's what I think I've done. Okay, so here's on the violin, it's really important. Here's the second pattern. So I'm just giving you guys these 2 patterns today. And as I said, Winifred taught me both of these patterns in every single lesson so far. So I think they're very, very important. And so far I've found that they show up all the time in this Irish bow patterning, okay? So the first pattern is that slurring over the downbeat. The second pattern is this bow triplet. And this is the one time you are going to do a down bow slur. So first, let's just try the triplet without the slur on it. So we're just going to try, it's going to be on the note G on the E string, which is that low second finger we were doing in the scale. So here it is, that G on the E string. And you can find that again in this upper middle part of the bow. Yeah. Let me just see what everybody's doing over here. So yeah, upper middle about there. Now I want you to make it almost sound like it's not a sound. It should sound more like a drum beat than a note. So, or than a pitch. So when you go slow, it's going to sound gross and not very pleasant. But when you go faster, it sounds, so let me show you what it's going to sound like so you have faith that it should sound that crunchy. My students, whenever I try to get them to do this, they're like, it sounds bad. I'm like, don't worry, it will sound cooler later. So let me do this. Before I get started and talking about all this, I'm going to just play the Sligo made for you at 80 beats per minute. And you'll see that bow triplet, and you'll see that it sounds cool when it goes fast. Actually, I'm not going to use the metronome so I can speed up. I'll do it once medium speed, and then I'll do it once at a little higher speed so you can see where we're going with it, okay? And then I'm going to spend the next hour, and I'm just going to legit teach this. I'm going to break it down every single tiny part. So we'll try it. Here we go. So we'll start at a little medium speed. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, Jenna, would you appreciate if I played the guitar part once? She says, they say yes. Yeah, okay, great. Let's do it. So Jenna, as I was saying, it's the same rhythm, but it's sometimes hard to tell where the chords change just from the fiddle part. So I'm gonna play the guitar part, and it looks, I know I gave this one to Emma a little while ago. By the way, happy birthday, Emma. I saw it was your birthday. Happy birthday. She says, there we go, thank you. Sweet. So let's do this. I'm going to play the guitar part. I'm going to play it a little slower. If you want to try to struggle along on the fiddle part with me, please feel free to try to play it. And then I'm going to break it down. And at that point, Jenna, this might be boring for you because I'm going to like slowly trudge through the fiddle part and really explain it. So you can do your best. You're welcome to go at that point. I just want to let you know it'll be just very, very slow fiddle work after that. But I would love to play the guitar part for Jenna so they can figure out where these chords are. All right, so here's A minor. And we're gonna start, and I'm gonna roughly sing it and it'll sort of help you find out where the melody is. All right, and I am gonna use the metronome. So the metronome is my bass player right now. And if you did have a bass player or a drummer, they'd be keeping the beat for you so you can find your offbeats. I really, 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 really highly recommend playing with a metronome. I don't think I can say it enough that the metronome is the very best invention that's ever been invented. And it's very, very good to play with it. All right, here we go. Here it is at 80 beats per minute. Especially when you're alone in your room and you don't have any other musicians to play with. The metronome will help you. Okay, here we go. Let's look at the chords so we don't mess it up. Here we go, A minor, starting off. Dun da da dun da da, ready and go. Da dee da dee dee da da. Again. Dee da dee 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 da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da da da. That's fast. Sorry. Da dee da ba da dee da dee. Again. Second part, B. I'm gonna do it again one more time, a little bit slower, so it's on here on the recording. Because I realized once I started that was pretty fast. So we'll try it at 62 as well. Okay. Here we go. Here it is a little slower. And I'll play it 2 more times a little slower, and then we'll take a little break if anybody needs a break. So we'll take a tiny break after that. And I can answer some questions if anybody has it. So here we go. 2 more times on guitar all the way through, and then I'll break it down. Here we go. And I'll keep singing because I know it's helpful to hear where the melody is, even though it's not beautiful, but we'll do it anyways. Here we go. Slower. 1, 2, 1, 2. Da dee da dee da 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 dee ba da dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee ba da 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 dee da 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 dee da da da. Second half, go B. One more time. we go. Sweet. Jenna, I hope that was helpful because it's hard to hear totally where the chords change. Sweet. All right, we're just going to take like a tiny 2-minute break just so people feel like they can get up, go to the restroom if they need to. Last time I went for 2 hours without stopping, and I was like, I should have done a little break in the middle. Yeah, that's a long class. So I'll just give you a 2. Yeah, we'll get back together at 4:10 and I'll break it down. Okay, so we'll take like 5 minutes actually because I need to use the restroom too. And we'll just pause the recording because nobody needs to see that blank wall.